welcome to At the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
I'm Kelly.
I'm David.
And this week, we went on the grid, man. Like the dude.
With the dude, man. Yeah, we did. We went to Tron Legacy from 2010?
Yes, 2010.
I got in.
I'm feeling very confused right now.
See, I was also very confused, but I'm not anymore. I know exactly what the problem is, so I can deal with it now.
I don't really know what the problem is because this whole world in this movie doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, it doesn't make a whole lot of... Well, no, it makes some sense. It's just different. To me, there's one glaring problem.
What's that?
Sam.
Well...
That guy is the worst. They just could have got a different guy to play that guy, and this movie would have all fallen together and been really awesome.
I disagree. I think that this movie, the story is not very good. It's boring.
Shade.
Well, okay, the rules of the world don't make sense to me.
Oh, yeah. I think if we had seen the first Tron, they might, maybe. But yeah,
no,
there are no real good rules.
I'll
admit that.
Like, it's supposed to be computer-based, but then there's, magic. I just don't...
I don't think it's What is magic?
At the end of the movie.
What?
He, all of a sudden he can just touch something and make everything, blow up.
I don't think it was... I think it was those two touching. I think it was yin and yang touching, and it blew... It basically, they short-circuited the world that they created together.
It doesn't make sense to me.
See, that made perfect sense to me. That's weird that it didn't make sense to you. It's like God and the devil touching and everything blows up.
But he's a clone of him.
He's not a clone. He was created by him and he turned evil.
Right,
but basically he just destroyed each of them, which destroyed the world, and it's back to the grid that he found. He basically, short-circuited the entire grid that he had created.
I guess I just don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know. That made perfect sense to me, so this is going to be weird because you didn't get it, and maybe I did.
It's not that I just didn't get it. It's just like you say, oh, yeah, it's because they touched the world they created together, but they didn't create it together. He created it. So, if he could have destroyed it the whole time...
No, I don't think he could have destroyed it without destroying Clue.
But then why didn't he just do that in the beginning? That's what he thought he was stuck there, but if he could...
He wanted to go home. He didn't have a choice, though. At that point, he had no choice. That was the only choice.
Okay, so if he would have done that earlier, then he wouldn't have been able to go home.
Yeah, because it killed him, too.
Okay.
It destroyed both of them.
It's just... I don't know. This whole thing...
Wait a minute, that's whack. If you didn't get that part of the movie, which is, the, most important, epic part of the movie is when he finally realizes that he is not going to be able to make it. And he sends off the most important thing, Quora, with his son.
Well, okay, that's fine. But also, she's from the computer, but then she's able to be... And I guess I don't understand how if she's from the computer, and then she is able to just be a person,
That was the whole Clue plan. If whoever had a user's master disk could go into the other world.
Oh. Okay, I didn't get it.
That's why when that other guy stole it, it was such a big deal. Holy sh...
Okay.
Oh my god. This is going to be a tough podcast. Sorry, everybody. Kelly didn't pay attention.
No. I was paying attention. I just didn't understand why she was, all of a sudden a person. Okay, that makes so much more sense.
Anybody that would have crossed with Kevin's disc... Any program would have become a real person. And that was the whole point, is that Clue had figured out how to cross with not only him, but his whole army. And that was the problem. Oh my god.
Okay.
No wonder you didn't like this movie. I can already tell you didn't like it, but I think it's because you didn't understand what was happening. Because you should have liked this. You like sci-fi movies.
No. Okay, so I liked parts of this movie. I don't know. But I guess I just didn't understand that.
I just didn't like my whole problem with this movie was the emotional touch of this movie was severely lacking because that kid that played Sam sucks.
You know what? You know who he reminds me of, and I think that's why you don't like him? He reminds me of, on Supernatural, the main dude that you hate when I'm watching it.
Oh, no. Well, yeah, I guess kind of they both can't act and they don't emote at all.
Well, they kind of look alike.
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with it. I mean, that kid has no difference of emotion from the beginning to the end of the film, no matter what's happening.
Yeah.
And he's really corny.
Alan, you're acting like I'm gonna find him sitting there working. Just, hey kiddo, lost track of time.
And that makes it tough. If they had cast that character better, this movie would have been supreme, I think.
Okay, so we're definitely probably going to have different opinions of this movie then.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really care for it that much, but...
Well, maybe it's because you didn't get it. I mean, that's a pretty critical part.
Yeah, no, I just didn't really understand.
Yeah, that's not cool. Oh my god.
No, I just didn't understand, what is the grid? I don't get it. Like, is it a computer program? Like, what?
It's like oh my god.
I don't know what it is.
I thought that because, I mean, clearly that's what the whole first movie's about. I thought they did a pretty good job in the first 10 minutes explaining this. I guess not. The grid is basically like the digital flip side to our world. It's like basically everything that is computer and programming and programs and all that stuff. It's actually its own world that's like kind of the flip side to our world.
Okay.
So basically think about, it's like Ralph Breaks the Internet.
That's fine.
The grid is essentially that, but not as as visually hitting you over the head as like Amazon and eBay and all that stuff that they have in that movie.
Okay. So does that mean that there's copies of like every single person in...
See, they call them programs, so I don't think it's persons. I think that those programs are essentially every program that's out there, whether it's programming your blender, or it's an Android, or it's, Minesweeper, I think is a person in the digital world. Every program is a person.
Okay. No, that makes sense. No, I understand. I got it, but there was something that wasn't quite clicking throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, I think that's very obvious to me right now. I feel like almost we should have had a discussion before recording for the first time ever.
No, it's fine. I got it.
It is fine. No, you don't get it.
I get it now. It's fine.
Yeah, but that kind of affects your entire view of the movie.
But that's okay.
I guess, yeah.
That's fine. So, clearly, I've never seen this.
Oh, yeah. I think I'd seen like a commercial, but I was like, who cares? I don't know what that is.
But you've seen the first one, right?
No.
Oh, you haven't seen the first one. Okay.
No, I was just basically kind of making an inference. The first 10 minutes of the movie is to make it so you can watch this movie based on the last movie. I thought they did a good job of that.
So I guess I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. I mean, he was like showing you with little robots and toys what was about to happen.
Well, no, I got that, and I understood that part. I was like, are they, like, I don't know, just the whole physical world to the computer world wasn't
clear to
you.
It
wasn't making sense to me, but that's fine. But, I mean, there's definitely a lot of references to the original one in pop culture, though.
Yeah, but honestly, even though there's a lot of references in pop culture, I still don't get it. Like, I think you'd still need to watch the movie.
Well, I mean, they had a whole thing on South Park about it, remember?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I still don't understand, even though I've seen that. And obviously neither do you.
Well, I mean, yeah. Let me read the synopsis really quick. So, it's categorized as science fiction, action, and adventure. When the world's greatest video game creator sends out a secret signal from an amazing digital realm, his son discovers the clue and embarks on a personal journey to save his long-lost father. With the help of fearless female warrior Korra, father and son venture through a vivid cyber universe, take on a rogue hacking program, and wage the ultimate battle of good versus evil.
That is a very poor description of this movie.
A little bit,
Korra
yeah.
is not really a warrior at all. There's no hackers because that thing was designed to create that world, and that's rough.
I just... We'll kind of talk through it here in a minute, but my problem with this movie is they spent too much time in certain areas and not enough time in other areas. So, like, the story was weird to me. Like, it didn't, like, it felt like not really anything happened.
I will kind of agree with you there. There are a lot of times it did seem like nothing happened. Because I think there was too much focus on Sam, or if Sam had been a better actor, this movie would have been better, because I thought the story was good. I thought it was really solid. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
I guess I just didn't care that much. Like,
that's my problem. That's what I'm saying, is that if the guy that played Sam had been a better actor, you would have cared more. But his entire emotional range never changed through the whole movie.
Yeah.
So who cares? Like, if you had gotten Mark Hamill from Star Wars to be him, this movie would have been epic.
Like, in his younger days, not now.
Yeah. If you would have gotten Mark Hamill from Empire Strikes Back to play this role, you'd have been like, oh my god, this is amazing.
So I'm surprised, because obviously this movie had such a big budget. I'm surprised they trusted a director who'd never made anything to do this movie.
He made that Oblivion movie that I've never seen.
That was made after this. This was the first thing.
Oh my god, it was.
This was the first thing he ever directed.
I screwed that up in my head when I was reading it.
Yeah, no, because that came out in like 2012 or something.
Also, Oblivion was the last thing that he ever directed, so maybe that movie sucks too.
Well, I think it does, but also he's supposed to be directing the Top Gun sequel.
How hard could that possibly be? You're basically probably making a shot-for-shot remake of the first one.
But then they're going to add aliens. Because he does sci-fi.
Yeah.
It was not Kurt Russell, it was Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges was amazing in this movie. Even though he played the dude from The Big Lebowski and then kind of a weird version of his young self, I thought he did a really good job.
Well, he's in the original one.
No, I know he is.
Yeah, but...
And, I mean, that effect of him being young, like, I think they must have taken his face, like, literally from the first movie and superimposed it. Worked really well. Like, I was surprised.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely was kind of weird. But yeah, he did a pretty good job. And then, so the guy who does play Sam is Garrett Hedlund, and he's just been in a couple of movies.
He's nothing, and he's a horrible actor.
And Olivia Wilde plays Korra,
who I thought was great.
Yeah, no, she's really good.
Really good job in this movie. I was really surprised. I thought she was just going to try and be like your prototypical, like, oh, I'm a bad chick kind of thing, and it was way deeper than that. She did a really good job of kind of balancing the two.
Well, she was kind of, like, goofy a little bit. Like,
that's what I mean. Like, the goof and the geek meets kind of the bad was really nice, and she did a really good job walking that tightrope.
And then there was a small cameo by Michael Sheen playing Zeus. Castor Zeus.
Yeah, and he was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, he's just, I don't know, he plays the same part.
Every time.
A lot. Like, I just...
A little flamboyant.
Yeah, okay, I don't know. Yeah, I just wasn't, I don't know, we can talk through it. I just wasn't very impressed, I guess.
I wanted to not be impressed.
Okay, so I guess here's the thing. Okay, we'll talk through the scenes, but I liked some of the parts towards the beginning, and I liked some of the parts towards the end, but, like, everything in the middle was just, like, kind of boring.
See, I can't get kind of on board with that. Like, it was almost like good scene, boring scene, good scene, boring scene, good scene, boring scene. To me, it really mixed it up, even though there was a few more boring ones towards the beginning. But to me, it picked up steam and it was fine. Like, I didn't have a problem with it. I just had a problem with that dude and how bad he was in this movie.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Well, because the movie was focused on him and he sucked. But I thought all of the pieces and even his lines and stuff If they had just found somebody better to do it, it would have been great.
The movie starts in 1989, which I'm assuming is where the first one probably ends.
I don't think it was where the first one ended. I think it was like he had a kid. He had a kid like right at the end of the other movie, and the kid grew. And this is kind of like right where his work is really starting to pick up.
And he's basically apparently telling him the whole story of this that I didn't understand apparently.
So, yeah, he's basically telling him the story of the first movie, how the whole Tron thing all got started. You know, the major players, there was Clue, there was Tron, there was him. This is how it all worked. There's the grid. We've made this crazy discovery. You know, everything's about to change in the whole world. Mm-hmm. And then he disappears.
Yeah, because clearly he got stuck in there, and that's where, what's-his-face, Clue went bad, and so he was stuck. So
yeah, I wasn't 100% sure that was what it was going to be until way later in the movie, though. I thought for quite a while that the Allen guy on the board double-crossed him, but that turned out not to be the case at all.
That might have been like a better, I don't know.
It would have been a different movie if that would have happened. So, I'm glad it didn't.
Okay, so then basically, like, his dad's gone, and then it flashes to him being an adult driving his motorcycle, and
which was one of the more confusing parts.
But see, that wasn't confusing, because literally he runs out the door as a kid and gets on his bicycle, and they're like, Sam, come back! And then it, like, floats into, like, somebody still saying, Sam, come back, and he's on his motorcycle. So to me, that was a clear, like...
I guess so.
Transition. Yeah. To me, that was, like, the least confusing part of this movie. But
and he is, like, a... master spy, motorcycle riding...
douche.
Well, kind of. I mean, he's basically a rich kid who both of his parents died when he was a kid. And we find out later that his grandpa also died when he was a kid, and then his grandma died before he was even out of high school. Mm-hmm. This guy was able to kind of nail the sad part of that a little bit at the beginning, but that's where it ended for his emotional range, was like, that sad part for the first 20 to 30 minutes, I was like, oh, this guy's kind of broken, he's kind of sad. That's where he gets his little emotional twist from. But that's where it ends.
So, when he's on the bike, I guess this whole first part, he's on his bike, and he's like going away from the cops, whatever. Like, it was just stupid. Like, why are you running from the cops? Like, this is dumb.
The funny thing is he's going over like jumps on an old super heavy motorcycle where it would just like break as soon as it hit the ground.
Well, and they're supposed to establish here, I guess, that he's good at driving a motorcycle for later, but whatever. But he's apparently the head of the like stock person. I don't know how these things work. But
he's the majority shareholder in that company that I forgot to write the name down of.
Oh God, not Enron. It's
Enablon. No, it's something in between those two.
But if he's the majority shareholder, why does he have to like break in secretly to the building? And he's just basically trolling them during a stock.
Yeah, he's f***ing with them. That's the only reason why.
I know, but like this whole part of the movie to me didn't have any relevance on anything.
I think it was trying to show that he was kind of trying to be like his dad.
Right.
But also, he was just kind of a rich little and he was f***ing with the company because he didn't like the way the company is run of being like a bunch of profiteering douchebags.
And that's fine. But like, there's literally like one line at the end of the movie that's like, that references back to this. So this whole first like 20-minute sequence was wasted time.
See, I disagree. I think it set up the personality and kind of the story of this. I thought it was fine. I didn't have a problem with this at all.
I didn't like it. I thought they could have. I guess to me it would have been a more cohesive story if like he was looking for his dad.
Well, no, he believed he was gone. I thought that was more believable. That he's like, F that guy. That guy's a dick. He left me all alone in the world. He's terrible, and it set the character up. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm so mad at the kid that played him, because this role had a responsibility of being like super emotionally powerful and changing throughout the movie.
He didn't change at all.
And this kid forgot to change. And I think that's why you're like, oh, this was a waste of time. But it shouldn't be, and it's not, to me.
So he basically, like you said, he's just messing with them, and before when they're giving some big presentation, and he like goes on the roof, and there's like some fat dopey security guard who's gonna crawl on top of the little dinky roof part with him, which I didn't believe for a hot second.
You might be surprised.
He jumps off the building with a parachute that goes off way too late, that he would have probably crashed on the ground.
I think that's the way that one was designed.
But
I mean, it's clear that he's kind of got like a semi-death wish to him.
Yeah, that's probably true.
He's mildly suicidal because, think about it, the dude has no one in the world who cares about him. He's alone.
That's true.
He's rich, but he's alone, and he's kind of just alone with his own feelings, and he doesn't play out on the rich part except for in one part.
Yeah. But then when he's at his house, that's when his dad's friend comes and tells him.
But you're cutting out like the police chase where he would have just been shot dead immediately when he's running away from the police on foot.
Yeah, that's true.
But whatever. We'll just leave that part out. No, I mean, we're just not going to really cover it too much. But he was running away from all these cops, and they would have just opened fire on him. Running on foot like that. Whatever.
You did say that during the movie. You were like, bang, bang, bang.
It was like the first time I've ever said anything out loud while we were watching a movie.
That's true.
Yeah, so then he gets let out of jail somehow. He's been out of jail so many times he knows the dude at the tow yard of the police's name and just like, hey Keith, here, give me my bike.
Did he say anything? I think I missed
He
that.
said the guy's name and like he took the bike. I thought that was just a weird point, but it made more sense the more I thought about it.
Yeah. No, that does make sense because I was like, okay, he got out of jail. What was the point of that?
Well, they didn't know who he was, so they arrested him.
Right.
But he has every right to be in that building and do everything he did.
I guess that is my problem with the first part is like, you can be in the building. Why are you sneaking around and doing all this weird stuff?
Because he can. Because he's because he's against the world.
Okay, that's maybe it's because
his problem of not playing the character right.
So I guess that's why I didn't fall for it. I guess because I was like, okay, you're basically in charge of this company. Like, you don't need to do this. Like, it just didn't.
Right. I think I was able to separate how bad of a job that dude was doing versus where I saw where the writing was going. I was like,
gotcha.
Oh, I see what you're going for, but this guy f***ed it up.
That makes a lot more sense, actually.
Yeah.
So when he does go home, that's when his dad's friend comes and said he got a page from a disconnected phone number from the arcade.
Wait, you're skipping over his super cute little
bulldog. Yes, his Marv.
Which I really enjoyed. But whatever, okay, we're past that.
It's all in the same scene. It's fine.
It is. So yeah, Alan comes in, says he got a page from that number, throws him the keys to the arcade and says, I think you need to be the one that checks it out. Which
kind of makes it seem like he already, knew.
So that's why for most of the movie I thought he double-crossed him. I thought it was like a total double-cross.
So that didn't make sense to me. That seemed like a red herring.
Well, no, and see, I think that's how they played that really well, actually, is that it turned out it was Clue who sent the page.
Right.
And it was a perfect setup by Clue, which is actually really genius. So he goes to this arcade that's super cool.
So when he went there, when he came up to the arcade and unlocked the door, you were shaking your head, and I was
hang on to that thought.
Okay.
I just have to say that his apartment of containers in between two bridges down on the river was rad. That place was ridiculous.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Shouldn't be passed up because that place was really cool. I was shaking my head because the key that he had to this super old arcade, a brand new key that had just come out at 2012. So I was like,
gotcha.
Oh, that's just bumped me, but it wouldn't bump anybody but me.
Right. Okay, that makes more sense. I knew it was something to do with the keys, but I was like, what is your problem?
I was like, oh my god, that company didn't even exist when he opened the door.
Oh, you could read the name of the...
I knew it, well, by looking at it, I knew exactly what it was, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes more sense, because I was like, why are you irritated by that? And when he turns on the lights, there's some rockin' 80s music. I don't remember what the name of that song is, though.
Yeah, but it's like the most 80s Journey song that I think you could ever think of. I think it was Journey. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, something like that.
Or something like that. Oh, man, I feel like I should look it up.
It's like... Da, 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 do, do.
Yeah, it was a Journey song. Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember what it is, though. Did you find it?
Just thinking I'm about to. They make it really hard to find. Actually. Separate Ways by Journey is what it was.
Okay, thank you.
So at least that part was easy to edit. But yeah, I knew it was that Journey song. It's
super recognizable.
Yeah, and it was playing super loud.
It was really loud. Yeah, because like was that like just supposed to be music like in the arcade, or was it just?
So I think the jukebox turned on and that's what it was playing.
Gotcha.
And all those arcade games turned on, and I was like, that place to me would be absolute heaven, where nobody had screwed up all those perfect arcade games from the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, wow, how cool would that be?
It'd be pretty great.
So he's looking around, reminiscing, trying to find the clues. He goes to the Tron game and pulls the cover off, throws his quarter in. It bounces off and hits this groove in the floor. And he's like, oh, this must be a secret passageway. So he pushes the Tron game to the side, and lo and behold, secret passage.
Yep. And
goes down. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, he goes down and finds, like, basically his dad's secret office.
Yeah. And he starts typing away at this super futuristic touchscreen that nobody would have had in the 80s. That was filthy dirty.
Well, and he just, like, apparently just knows all the coding stuff and everything. And
I think that's actually pretty normal for somebody who knows coding to know the words that you use. Because he failed a few times and then he got it. He did the last thing that happened. He put the last thing that happened, which was activating the laser.
Yep.
And lo and behold, that laser took him to Tron World.
I mean, is it called Tron World?
No, I just call it that. Tron is a guy. Tron is
I know.
Other dude.
Yeah, I know.
But it's the grid. It took him to the grid.
Right. And immediately he gets picked up by, I guess, the grid police.
Yeah, whatever those little monster guys are, they hook him up with all these other people or programs.
Yes.
I think the only other people are the ones that have to go play games. There was one other dude who was like mumbling games.
No, they're all programs. He was the only one who was a user because
the only user. Okay.
They're like, oh, you're an unidentified program.
Right.
And so then they send him to the games, and he like rolls in to this like hallway thing, and there's like these lady programs.
Fembots.
Yeah, basically.
That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, and they're like take all of his clothes off with their magic fingers, and
yeah, that was actually kind of cool. They had like a little flame that like cut all of his clothes in half off of his body.
Yeah, but then
put this armor on him and and the disc.
Essentially, he gets put into these boxes, and there's all these people watching, and basically it's like fight to the death of like
with disc golf
disc golf dodgeball, basically.
Yeah, which is frightening.
So he's doing that, and he's fighting the people, and it's a whole long sequence of him fighting these dudes. And there's like some mysterious dude watching who's clearly like the leader of all these people because he's in like a fancy box.
Right, which you're like, oh, it's his dad. I mean, you think.
Right,
But it is and it isn't. So we go through this super long sequence. He wins.
Well, but he doesn't. Well, he does, but he has to fight another dude. But then when he's fighting, the reason they take him upstairs.
Oh, it's because he bled.
Yeah, because the other dude like nicked him, and then they're like, the dude was like, "You're not."
Oh, that's right, because it was actually Tron he was fighting. And Tron knew to take a user.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, you're a user," and so he takes him upstairs, and then we see what we initially think is his dad, but it's like his dad when he was young. And so we think like, oh, I guess you just don't age there. And,
right.
Like.
And he seems evil, kind of, like right away.
Yeah, well, and it's like all the evil dudes just happen to have the orange, and all the normal people or normal programs just have the blue.
Or the white.
But basically, but yeah, so my first thought was, oh, his dad's just been chilling in here, so he did abandon him. He's such a dick. Like, that was my first thought.
Yeah, I was like, Dad is evil? Oh, oops, it's Clue.
Yeah, and so then it very quickly you realize it's not his dad. Is this then when they're gonna have the light cycle battle?
Yeah, so he's identified as a user, which you're like, oh, he uses the programs. I get it, okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he's gonna battle Clue in the grid with the light cycles, and for some reason he has a team.
And that's like I didn't understand like
I didn't understand who the team members
are these other users, or are they just
They couldn't be though, because the only known portal into the grid is through his dad's office. So there's no way other people are getting in.
So they're just like other criminals,
I guess? They must be rogue programs. Because think about it, like when we visit later on the flamboyant dude's office, there's a whole bunch of rebelling programs who don't want to go.
Right. Okay.
So they're probably just more powerful sentient programs that he can't control fully.
Right. Yeah, so they give him like this like stick essentially.
Yeah, that turns into a light cycle, which is kind of cool, but
well, yeah, and that's like I did enjoy this part a lot actually.
Well, okay. So anything that involves like the special effects,
yeah,
like a battle scene in this movie is great.
Yeah, no, this part cuz basically essentially what if you run your cycle into another person's light, you just disintegrate, basically.
Yeah, you're out, or you blow up, or you die.
So, because he's...
same thing if you get hit with a disc.
Right, and I guess since they're all, like, made of the computer stuff, like, how would it affect him in the same way, being made of biomat? Like, that's what...
So, in this world, he's also a digital being.
But he bleeds.
Oh... You know what? That is
so
weird.
They
don't explain that, but I am okay with that.
That I think is what was confusing to me, is because they made a point of pointing out that he was bleeding, and so he's like a bioform.
So think about it though, even if he is a bioform and bleeds from that stuff, if he hits it, he's dying too. He's just gonna blow up in a big puddle of blood.
That's fair. That's fine. So that's like lasers, basically. Kind of.
Something like that, yeah. I think one of the things that you see him playing the Tron game where the lights are like, early on you see it like kind of like bouncing where you can't cross the lights. I think that was kind of like one of the keys, the clues.
Yeah.
Oh, so the illegal combatant comes to save him because he's just facing down with
that's
Clue
right.
at this point because he beat everybody else.
That's right, yeah.
He did a really good job. So this person... comes to save him, it's a chick. They drive away.
They're turning around.
Not by choice. Their vehicles aren't designed to go off-grid. They'll malfunction on this terrain.
What about us?
Obviously not.
And then she takes him to his dad.
Yeah, because she has like a special vehicle that can go off the grid.
Right, which does kind of make sense that he knew how to do that, and so he could make that thing.
Yeah, so she takes him to his real dad, and he's like essentially some like hippie guru, like peace man.
Well, he's the Big Lebowski. That's all he is. I mean, he's the Lebowski a little bit more grown up. Like,
yeah,
he's like the next step of the Big Lebowski, and it's like, yeah, man. Like, I was wondering when he was gonna light a joint, but he didn't. Yeah, so they talk, and it's a really kind of cold, bizarre reunion. This is where I really started to hate Sam, like, deeply.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And they have this super awkward dinner.
Hey, I wrote that too. Awkward dinner.
Like, it was just uncomfortable how bad the dinner was. And it was, I mean, it should have been awkward, but this is more just Sam error.
Yeah, it didn't really play very well. But
And Quora did a really good job during it.
Yeah.
But it still sucked. And I think this might be the middle part you're talking about that sucked.
Just this whole, when they left the light cycle until like basically the whole time they're at this house, like it was just kind of boring. And he does go into the whole story time exposition about the ISO organisms, which is cool. I actually really like that, but... Right, but, like, so they just formed out of thin air, basically? Well, I think what he's trying to say is that basically the digital realm also can
evolve and create its own life.
Like AI, kind of.
Not exactly like AI, but like actual real life. It was
Gotcha.
able to code its own kind of top level creature, just like humans. Like it was able to make its own perfect kind of creature.
Gotcha. So,
And that's what made Clue upset, because his whole purpose was to create a perfect world.
and if they were there, then it wouldn't be perfect.
Then, well, it would be perfect, but without him.
So he would feel useless, basically.
Yeah, because he was basically useless with them there, so he decided to...
Okay, I think that's the other part I wasn't quite... It didn't quite click. That actually makes more sense, because I was like, why would he want to kill all these people? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Because if you have these crazy, genius, self-thinking, fulfilling creatures that can do all this stuff, you're never going to really have, like, that quote-unquote perfect, organized society of his Hitler youth self.
Right.
But really, those were the things that really should have came about.
Right. Yeah, so it showed, and is this where it showed the whole sequence of him going corrupt, basically, too? Was that in the same story sequence? There was a couple of flashback story sequences, so is this where it showed Clue going corrupt?
I think so,
Because
yeah.
it showed him, and then it showed him, like, taking out Tron, but then Tron is apparently not dead.
Well, I think what they did was they, like, beat Tron into, like... You know, kind of like what they did with Quora, where when she got her arm cut off and
Right.
she was like that. I think they did something equivalent to that, where Tron was, like, almost dead, and he was able to bring him back and reprogram into his own...
But basically the portal closed on... What's his face? Kevin, thank you. So he wasn't able to go back, and he basically had to stay out of the grid area because Clue wanted his disc.
Yeah, and would have killed him or done anything to get it.
Yeah, and so that was like the whole sequence, and I guess it just, like, it was interesting, but it was basically just exposition for the sake of exposition, and so it just didn't feel...
Well, they tell the story of killing all the ISOs, which is important.
And I think if it maybe would have been done in a different way, like maybe if it would have come from, like, Cora or something, where she had, like, more of an emotional...
Yeah, that's actually a really good point.
I feel like that would have played a little well, but it was basically just like, here, let me tell you this story.
Let me robotically tell you this story.
It just didn't... I don't know. And I think that's my main problem with this movie, is there were a lot of pieces that, like, they were good elements, but I think the way they were executed, it just wasn't my style.
I totally agree. I am not going to disagree with you with that. And I maybe blame Sam too much, but you're right. There are some problems with some of the other parts of it, which is totally fair. And I think this is one of them, and I think you're right. And so at this point, like, Kevin has completely given up, and Sam wants to go home. He's like, kind of like, you. Like, this is ridiculous. I want to go home, and so should you.
Yeah.
So he gets Cora to help him. Cora tells him to go find Zeus.
Zeus or Zoo?
Zeus.
I
just call him Zeus. I don't care.
Well, I mean, it's like Fuse, but with a Z.
Yeah.
Zeus.
Zeus.
So he leaves, and then all of a sudden, but he takes his dad's, like, bike.
Yeah, the light cycle.
And then he, like, ditches it downtown.
With a bum, yeah. Why is there bums? That part didn't make sense to me.
Because it's supposed to be, like, a perfect world.
Yeah, that was one of those, like, small errors in this movie. It was like, there's no bums.
Yeah,
They would have killed the bum.
Yeah, and then Clue's dudes are able to essentially use that as a clue.
To track I've got a raging clue. That's what I was thinking about most of the time, but whatever.
I guess Flynn saw them coming, or knew that they would come because of that.
He had an idea that they were coming, and I think he also just kind of, even though it's not explained or showed, I think he came to the realization that this was the time to actually act for once.
Right. And
because he'd come to this whole, like, oh, I've been by myself, zen, I do nothing thing, like, man, if I act against him, he's going to become a more powerful man. And it's like, oh, just a bunch of shit.
Yeah, exactly. And so that didn't really play very well either to me, because it didn't say, like...
Well, to me it did, because it was kind of him chickening out, which I bought. Like, he just was fine living with this.
No, not that part. I meant just all of a sudden deciding, we got to go now.
Oh, no, I think I got that, because his son was gone, and he was like, oh, whoopsie, like, now I have something I need to live for. I better go.
I don't know. I just wasn't...
I need to help him. Well, because, remember, he went and knocked on his door, and he was gone, and he's like,
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that part.
See, I think that's the thing, is to even have this movie kind of make sense, you got to really pay attention and substitute some of the missed emotional reactions.
Yeah.
And put them in.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I don't know. I just didn't play very well to me, but basically, so Sam is going to meet Zeus, but he has to meet Castor first to get to Zeus.
Who's this crazy flamboyant party guy? It turns out he is Zeus.
And it's like essentially like a bar, basically.
It's this big bar, crazy place where he holds court and.
Yeah, and it flashes back to the house, and Clue has gotten there with all of his dudes, but Flynn's already gone.
Yeah, which is, how the hell did they get there if they can't get there? But maybe Clue was the only one that could get there, but he didn't know where it is. That, to me, was one of the biggest holes in the movie.
Yep, that was also one of my... I didn't... Because when she rescued Sam, she's like, well, they won't come here. They can't go off the grid. But then they can't, that part it also didn't make sense to me either.
But maybe once it's mapped, once it's mapped onto the grid by him going and coming back.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, there's so many things where you have to kind of think about what they're thinking, and they might have cut out. I guess that could make sense.
But it goes back to the bar. Oh, and one of the fembots was taking him around the bar.
Him around, yeah. The fembot that kind of talked to him was like, oh, he's different.
It is happening.
Come away from these primitive functions. The son of Flynn. Of all the innumerable possibilities, he has to walk into mine. Libations for everybody! I'm Castor, your host, provider of any and all entertainments and diversions. At your service.
When we find out that Castor is Zeus, and then we also very quickly find out that he is basically double-crossing him.
Yep, it was all set up.
And
there's this huge battle scene.
And Cora gets her arm chopped off.
Yeah, which is really cool. But then she almost dies because of it.
Yeah.
And then, so, Dad shows up. More battle. As they're escaping through this elevator thing, one of the just plain guards steals
his disc.
Yep. And now he's screwed.
And
then immediately Zeus kills that guard and takes the disc.
Right. So if it's so valuable, why wouldn't you keep it in your pocket or something?
I don't know if you really could.
Cora walks around without her disc for an hour later. It just doesn't
yeah, that's true. I think at the point of the movie where you're at, you're still got a lot of the cops and stuff.
Right.
Trying to look for people without discs. I think later.
Yeah.
There's less of that because they're on that freighter thing.
That's true. But yeah, it gets taken. It's a whole big cluster. It's all bad, and so they're taking. Are they on the train at this point?
Yeah, so they go down the elevator, they jump the freight train, and then we find out that Cora is the last ISO. And he pulls off her discs, fixes the arm by getting rid of the bad code.
Yep.
And then there's the little father-son catch-up moment of what's going on in the real world. He's like, oh, right, man, that Wi-Fi, that was my idea back in 85. And it's that part sucked. So bad. They could have done such a better job.
Celtics, Lakers, man.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, eat a dick. No.
Yep.
Although, no, I shouldn't be so harsh. In 2010, Celtics Lakers was actually kind of a big deal.
I know, but it's just you've been gone all this time, and that's what
Well, no, they said something about rich getting richer, poor getting I guess. Yeah.
But it's because that dude wasn't good at the emotional part. So
yeah, he was really just icky at this.
And this is one of the few parts that required actual, like, acting.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't.
Well, there was plenty of parts that required acting, and he wasn't there for it.
But this is, like, the major father-son bonding scene, and it just wasn't.
And he
it was flat.
fall flat.
It was very flat.
And anytime that dude fell flat, I noticed Jeff Bridges would go back to being the dude.
Yeah.
Which was really weird, because that's when he would say, like, man, or something like that. Like, he would just go back into being the Big Lebowski, and it's like, oh, come on.
And basically, then it flashes back to where Zeus is like trading the disc to Clue, and Clue's like making a drink, and I'm like, oh, obviously this is bad. Like, it just was very, like, I don't know, but basically he takes the disc and then leaves, and they blow up the building.
Oh, but with that father and son thing, he did say one line that just drove me insane. He's like, I'm gonna go knock on the sky and listen to the sound. It's like, come on.
I didn't even know what that meant. And maybe
it's some stupid Zen thing, like, give me a break.
But there's no sky. They're in a computer.
I think that's kind of the point. And it's just dumb.
It is dumb. It's really dumb.
It just made me mad. That's why I had to interject that. It's like one of those things I was like, ew.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So you're right. Clue blows up Zeus with the drink thing.
And then it goes back to the train, and there's, like, story time again.
With Quora. Quora reboots. And tells her origin story.
It would have been better if she had been telling the story
from the beginning.
If she had been telling the story to him about, like, the ISOs and all that, but then if, like, while she was, like, passed out, if Kevin was telling Sam about this story,
you're exactly right.
That would have been more effective.
And they could have cut 10 minutes out of the movie by doing that, which they needed to cut about that much out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree. The whole thing of this ended with the, I guess I'm a rescue.
I wrote that down.
This goddamn dog, which really, really, really made me mad.
I prepared for the end. And just as everything was going dark, I felt a hand on my shoulder. And when I opened my eyes, standing above me was the Creator. Your father. He saved me. I guess you could say I'm a rescue.
I guess you could say I'm a rescue. I wrote that down too.
Give me a break.
Basically, then they roll up on, like, the, like, hangar or whatever it is.
It was like an unplanned stop for the train that they were on.
Oh, because they didn't know. That's right. Because Kevin was like, this isn't supposed to be here. And basically, it shows Clue putting all of these programs in, like, a giant oven, essentially, like a bug zapper thing.
Well, he's, like, kind of like, as much, because he says that Clue can't create programs, but he's basically reprogramming the programs to be soldiers.
Right. And they're all blue when they go in, and they come out and they're all orange. Yeah. So he's basically building his army, and that's when they kind of put together what he's planning on doing.
Yeah, he's planning on going through and taking the army with him.
Right.
To kill the real world.
But then, okay, just hypothetically, if he took his whole army through, they would just be a normal street person clothes. They wouldn't have all these weapons. They would just be regular fucking dudes.
But think if you took millions of regular dudes into the world, you could take over the world in a matter of minutes.
It just didn't. I don't know. It just didn't. It was just stupid. But basically, then Cora, like, they're about to get caught, but she takes off her disc and, like, gives it to Kevin, and she, like, runs over to the cop. Basically, is like, arrest me, and
well, she fights him a little, but she self-sacrifices.
Right, and Clue gets a little rapey.
Yeah.
He's like, I have something special prepared for you. And, like, what?
Which is totally unexplained. Like, after this, that part makes no sense.
Well, because he knows that she's an ISO.
Well, right.
Because of the tattoo thing on her arm or whatever.
I get that. But what his special plan or why he would have it makes no sense.
Right. They don't explain it.
Yeah. And it doesn't come up.
Yes. And so basically, he's like, Clue is like talking to all of the programs.
Converted programs. He gives his Hitler-esque speech.
Right, and in the background, Sam is like breaking Cora out essentially, and he's also going to get his dad's disc.
Yeah, well, they have a little argument first about doing it. He's like, just get us a way out of here, get us a plane or whatever, and he goes up. He does his one-man rescue squad of killing everybody, rescuing Cora, getting the disc, and getting away and getting into the flight. So then Clue finds out, because as soon as he takes the disc, it's like, Master Key disengaged, Master Key disengaged. He goes up, he kills his assistant.
Which, why?
Yeah, who cares? And then jumps down as in his own light flyers with his team and takes off after.
Yeah, and there's basically a whole, it's like a replay of the light cycle scene, but with planes, and not as cool.
I actually kind of liked this part quite a lot.
It's fine, but it's the same scene, basically.
It is the same idea. Yeah.
Right, but with planes.
Both planes. And we find out at some point, Cora and Kevin switch discs.
Well, yeah, because he says to her, I need you to do something for me.
Right, which, I mean, it was obvious that that's what he was going to have her do right then and there. Oh, you didn't think it was obvious?
Well, honey, remember, I didn't get it.
Yeah, that's true.
Remember?
That's fair enough.
Well, no, I got that they switched discs, but yeah.
Well, I knew immediately that's what he was going to ask her to do. I was like, oh, okay, he's going to switch discs with her so that they can get him and her across so that he can actually get the most important thing in the world into the real world.
And, like, in the midst of the battle scene, like, Tron, remembers who he is.
Yeah, he's, like, somehow jolted into being himself again for 5 seconds.
And he, like, takes out Clue's fighter.
Yeah, he takes out Clue's fighter, and then they're falling to the ground, or to... I don't think there's a ground. It's falling to
It's supposed to be like a digital ocean.
Yeah.
Basically.
And Clue flies over and steals Tron's backup plane stick, and somehow is able to fly all the way from the bottom to the portal before everybody else gets there, which makes no sense at all.
You're right. I wrote that down too. I underlined, like, somehow gets there before everybody and is just chilling there, like,
it's ha like ha ha. Warped there. It's like, so there's this big old fight. Sam and Cora are knocked to the portal side. Kevin is on the non-portal side, and Clue's in the middle. And Kevin and Clue are fighting. Clue kind of fights at these other guys. He gets Kevin's disc, and he sees it's Cora's, so he chases after them, and then that's when Kevin does his... He had done this in the bar, too. He'd done, like, this power move where he shoots this light out of him.
Sure. No, I saw... Yeah, and I got that, but, like, it just... I guess I just didn't understand that if he could have... I didn't, I guess, realize that if he would have done that earlier, it would have killed him too. But, like, I was, like, thinking if you could have done that from the beginning, why wouldn't you just do that?
Yeah, because he didn't want to die. He was hoping to get out. But
gotcha.
He sacrificed himself.
Yeah, because... And so it only destroyed, like, everything in the immediate vicinity?
No. From what I can tell, and from what I understand, based on just my own guess, is it destroyed everything that Clue, him, and Tron programmed once they discovered the grid.
Okay.
So basically it completely restarted the grid.
Gotcha. So it went back to the way it was.
Yeah, with nothing there.
Gotcha.
Like a blank slate.
Gotcha. Which would theoretically mean that over time it could make more ISOs?
I think that's actually correct. Is that they could become life again.
Gotcha.
Spawning on their own, or even maybe with the ISO that they have.
Right.
You know, that kind of genesis.
Right. And so then he's back in the arcade, and he's, like, copying something on his little phone or whatever.
Yeah, he's, like, backing up the files or doing something. Who knows?
Not explained.
Yeah, totally not explained.
And he's there, and Alan, his dad's friend, is there, and he's like, oh, you paged me. And he's like, we're taking the company back. And then I was like, okay, cool, dude. Like, it just...
Well, he always had that option. He just didn't want it.
Right. So I guess basically that's how they're saying he changed as he realized what was important or something.
Right, well, he got the ISO, so he's actually going to be able to change the world the way his dad wanted to.
Okay, I guess I don't understand what an ISO is.
So the way that they were able to, like, the way that she was able to, like, regenerate her arm.
Yeah.
They were going to be able to switch that digital to the real world where you'd be able to, like, regenerate your arm or, like, fix yourself or just make human society better.
So he's going to
ISOs.
So he's going to use her.
Oh, 100%.
So romantic.
Oh, yeah, no, she's... Yeah.
So,
I mean, he's going to do things to her, but she's no romantic interest.
Well, he takes her... takes her out, he's like, come on, I want to show you something. And I was like, what, your dick? Like, what
yeah. I mean, they're going to like there's no tomorrow, but it's not like he really cares about her.
Well, and then she, like, the sun and the trees.
Sunrise, yeah. She's like, oh my god, the sunrise.
And that's it.
Yeah, the movie ends. Which is great.
I just... There were just a number of things that weren't executed. Like, I feel like they wasted, I guess, and maybe it's because I haven't seen the first movie, but I feel like they wasted, like, because the world itself is interesting, but I just feel like maybe it was a little, what they could have done with it, like, they didn't really use it to its fullest, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I really don't.
What was your favorite part?
The end was pretty good. The party with the betrayal was good. There was no, like, solid favorite, though.
I like the light cycle thing at the beginning.
Okay, the battle.
That, I guess, is what the ride at Disney World is going to be, essentially. Like a roller coaster, but you're on, like, a light cycle type thing.
And I think that's what basically the first movie is, a whole bunch of that.
Which maybe I'll like the first movie more then, because I did like that part quite a bit.
I feel like that's probably true. So, music, there really wasn't any...
Okay, so did you catch that the score was all done by Daft Punk?
Yeah, but...
And they had, at the party, they were up in the little booth, and they did their little cameo.
Yeah, but it was... I totally didn't notice any of it, so...
Well,
I'm
okay.
not gonna give it credit.
No, but during the movie, I was like, oh, is that supposed to be like a Daft Punk reference? Because there were the two DJs up in the little booth at the party.
Okay, well, that's fair. I didn't catch that.
Oh, well, I did. Yeah. And then they're the ones who did all the synthesizer music, I guess.
Right.
So, you've already talked about how much you hate Sam, our main character.
Yeah. Well, yeah, or Kevin, who somehow is a hippie hacker. Whatever.
I don't know, but yeah, Sam, I even before we start talking about it, I mean, he's pretty flat. He doesn't really change at all.
Yeah, he's garbage as a main character. And
He's
it's the actor's fault. It's not anything else's fault.
Yeah, it's not great. What did you think about Clue as a villain?
I mean, for a computer villain, not bad. I mean, but
He just seemed like, and I guess now that you're explaining, like, he just seemed like, oh, I'm bad just to be bad. Like, I didn't really get...
He was just which doesn't make sense that he was upset.
Right, I guess it just didn't really... I think if they would have had something a little more to pull in, like, what his motivation was...
Yeah, it is a little difficult to bridge that emotional gap of his motivation versus... him just doing his job is a little bizarre.
Because if you just have a villain who's like, I'm just going to be bad just to be bad, and I just want power, with no explanation, it's a little bit flat. It doesn't really pull anything, so I wasn't super impressed with that.
Fair enough. Side characters, Cora was really good, fun, and weird.
Yeah, like when there was something where when they were in the house and he has books, apparently, like actual books. Don't know how those got there.
I feel like he must have created those somehow. I think since he has the ability to program in that world, I think he has the ability. I think he programmed his house and that kind of stuff.
Probably.
Yeah.
But she made some comment about some book, some really old author or poet or something.
Jules Verne.
Thank you. And
10,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Okay, well, whatever. But she was like, oh, yeah, I love this guy. And she's like, do you know him? And he's like, yeah, sure. She's, oh, what's he like? Like, she doesn't understand the concept of, like, anything.
I don't think that they understand the concept of people dying.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, now that she's in the real world, does that mean she's going to get old like everybody else?
Who knows?
Like, it just doesn't... I don't like not knowing all of those things.
Yeah, that's fair.
Cinematography was pretty good.
Right, all the special effects were really good.
That was clearly where a lot of their budget was on.
Yeah, I mean, because as far as people in this movie, there's like 10 people in this movie.
Yeah, no, it definitely does not have a very big cast, that's for sure. Just a ton of extras or like digitally animated people.
Right.
Like, not... Yeah, it was all computer stuff, which, I mean, is the whole point. But what was your biggest surprise or disappointment?
How good the Jeff Bridges as a young man and the special effects was a really good surprise. Like, I was like, oh, that actually works. And it worked through the whole movie.
I think I was just a little disappointed because I typically do like sci-fi movies a lot. And I just felt like it wasn't... And maybe it's because I just was a little bored because it was kind of a long movie.
And
but
you didn't understand what was
Well, that's
going
what
on.
I mean. I didn't, like... It just, the way it was done, it just seemed like there was a lot of missed opportunities in this movie to make it better.
Missed a few things.
No, I did. Clearly, we've established that. But even talking through it, there were a few missed opportunities.
There were definitely
to make that would have made the story a little tighter and would have made it more effective and more compelling and made you care more, I guess. Because I guess I just didn't really care what was going on in the movie at all. At all.
Fair enough. The story overall, I thought was really interesting, really cool, but it just, once again, it lacked that proper emotional depth to get it there.
Yeah, no, it just wasn't. I don't know. I just something about it. I just didn't really wasn't my thing.
It was missing something.
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah,
no doubt.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it just didn't. It wasn't my favorite.
Isn't your favorite? So what is your rating on not your favorite?
I struggled a little bit because there were things about it that I liked. Like I liked the special effects and I liked the concept was really interesting, and I feel like they could have done a little better. But I gave it a 50%.
Oh, so we're not that far. I give it a 59. Like I said, if they could have got a better Sam, could have easily been a 75-80% movie, but they didn't. So it kind of sucked. What do you think the Rotten Tomatoes scores were?
I feel like what I remember is that this movie did not do very well. I feel like maybe like around the same score that we had, like a 50%.
So you're right, which is for a Disney movie, horrible. Like for this movie got 51 with the critics and 63 with the people. For the movies that we've done, that is like disastrous as far as Rotten Tomatoes goes.
Well, and so that's also, I guess, I'm surprised that they put they're making that ride at Disney World, which I mean they made it in the Japanese Disney first, and it was.
Wait. For a ride, I 100% want to.
Well, sure, but I guess I'm just surprised that they would do that when the movie wasn't super, and because now they're all about the IPs and all that stuff. So
yeah, but think about it. Like this IP could go a million different places, and you could use it for a million different things. And I mean, they still have a Song of the South ride.
Well, for now, that is going away. So
well, maybe, but just think about it like that. They had a Song of the South ride for 70 years or 50 years or whatever.
I guess that's true.
So let's see, our next movie is going to be Kelly.
Okay. This is also a really long movie, I just want to point out. It was over 2 hours. It was like 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Which was a huge problem that we actually didn't get to between the two of us. Like, they needed desperately to cut 15 minutes off this movie, and they really could have easily.
Yeah, it was long. What are you laughing at? What number is it?
Number 33.
33. Super old.
Yep. It's been a while since we had an old movie.
God. That is really... Wait, what was the last one that we got that was that old?
Probably Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty?
Is it live action or animated?
It's gotta be live action.
Oh, okay. What decade is it?
It's the 50s.
So is it like Herbie 1?
Nope. It's 1956's Westward Ho! The Wagons.
Yikes. Okay.
So, I mean, what do you think this is about, Kelly?
Oh, gee. Okay, so I bet you this is some sort of, like, tale of some family traveling on, like, the Oregon Trail or some nonsense, probably. And I bet you there's probably some extremely racist Native American stuff happening.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, definitely, like, pioneer. There's going to be lots of ladies in bonnets. Like, somebody's probably gonna get dysentery at it, like, you know, something like that.
Yeah, a wagon wheel's gonna break.
They're gonna have to they're gonna have to forge a river at some point.
Yeah. It's Oregon Trail, the movie.
They're gonna meet a scrappy fur trapper. It's basically they're gonna be.
It's almost guaranteed they're gonna meet that guy from
Nicky.
Nicky, yeah, the mean guy.
He's gonna be the same villain.
It's probably gonna be the exact same guy. All right. So
they're gonna have a dog.
Yeah. So stay tuned next week for Westward Ho! The Wagons. It's going to be an interesting one.
But they got to be going Oregon Trail. I mean, westward, like they're going west. So it's got to be something on the Oregon Trail.
Yeah, it's not going to be like the Chris Farley movie Wagons East, where they decide to go the other direction.
What?
Yeah, the Chris Farley movie Wagons East, where the settlers decide to go back east because they're sick of the frontier.
I don't know anything about that.
That's hilarious.
Doesn't he also have a movie where he like is what, like there's like a Lewis and Clark thing
with Chris Farley?
I feel like it was something, or maybe not. It's not Chris Farley.
It's the same kind of movie, yeah. I don't know.
I'll have to look it up, but
we'll get to that. But in the meantime, if you'd like to send us an email, follow us on social media, just look up at the Disney Movies for the email, or at Disney Movies with the Hearts for most of the social media.
Please leave us a review,
a comment, or subscribe, which is always really nice for us. Yeah, give us some feedback. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, and
if you were also confused this week, if you watched Tron Legacy and you were confused, please let us know.
Yeah,
because I feel like I'm not the only one.
Yeah, don't let Kelly be alone being confused with this movie. Yeah, but follow along, watch the movies with us, listen to the podcasts, or just listen to the podcasts. We like it either way. Yeah. You got anything else to say?
Nope.
All right. Well, this has been At the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
I'm Kelly.
I'm David.
Bye. Wow. Is it the 40s? 50s?
It's the 50s.
Is it animated?
I have no idea, but I doubt it.
Oh, so it's probably live action.
Yeah, it's something called The Living Desert.
The Living Desert?
Yeah, but you don't think it's a documentary?
Why don't I just... Let me just...
in case we have to cut all this out.
Not The Living Desert. It's a place in California. It is a documentary.
Okay, so we're going to turn that one red.
Cut that one out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, beep, 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 beep.